How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And hey, it's Tuesday here on the show. You know what that means? We got a lot to talk about, don't we? Yes, Hiroki Goto is the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. We will talk about that here today, as well as all of the rest of the news coming out of New Japan, New Beginning in Osaka. Last night was also Raw. We actually have a WrestleMania match already, allegedly. We'll talk more about that as we get going. But we'll talk about the Raw show, 2.5 hours, so much easier to watch than SmackDown. And I realized I got a giant reflection in that thing back there. That's new. Kids must have been messing around with that gimmick. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about NXT tonight, as well as AEW Dynamite coming up tomorrow. We've got more on this Vince McMahon fella. Just one thing after another with this guy. We'll also be talking about all of the rest of the news. NXT's got a special coming up. We got SmackDown ratings and plenty more. And you can join us here today. You can text us. 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. I'm at 4wonline at gmail.com. You can also find me on Threads, Instagram, and Cameo at F4WOnline. I know some of you are thinking right now, oh man, I just had a great idea. Bryan can do a Valentine's cameo for my beloved. That is a great idea. Go to Cameo, search F4W Online. There I am, at Bryan Alvarez on X and Blue Sky. Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
Leg drop.
Sorry, but you don't have your shell yet.
That's it. Opinion. Damn, you gotta stop laying on your head like that.
Let's go, Treehouse.
So your name's Turtle.
Yeah.
Turtle.
Broke for sure.
Figure four? A figure four? You can know the figure four?
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. No, we're not starting with Goto. We'll talk about Vince.
Oh.
So listen, okay? This guy, good God. There is one thing that I have concluded that over time has made people very angry, but, I mean, it's just undeniable at this point, okay? I'm not saying that Janelle Grant was lying about this, okay? I can believe that she may 100% have believed this and this guy. But the idea that he was flaunting this relationship to everybody, dude, here's the latest. A federal appeals court has ruled that a former lawyer for Vince was wrong to withhold documents related to McMahon's handling of 2 hush money settlement deals with former WWE employees. In September 2023, federal prosecutors subpoenaed McMahon's lawyer, who is unnamed in court documents, along with their law firm, seeking all communications related to the settlements. One of the employees is believed to be Janelle Grant, who reached a $3 million agreement with McMahon. Another $7.5 million settlement was made with an unnamed former WWE employee. While some materials were turned over, McMahon's lawyer withheld 208 pages of documents, citing attorney-client privilege. Prosecutors sought a court order for their release. A lower court ruled in their favor. On Monday, the Second U.S. Court of Appeals upheld that ruling, stating that documents were not protected by attorney-client privilege due to the, quote, crime or fraud exception. The appellate judges wrote, quote, because these settlement agreements resolving the victims' claims were, quote, structured and negotiated to keep them hidden from WWE, the district court found that all communication about the claims and settlement agreements were made in furtherance of the criminal scheme to keep the company and its auditors unaware of the allegations. Court found reasonable grounds to believe McMahon and his lawyer circumvented WWE's internal controls, created false records, and misled auditors to keep these settlements hidden. As a result, WWE had to revise its financial statements. So I guess what's added here is we knew that he signed the Janelle Grant NDA on behalf of the company and hid it from everybody. But it now appears that he also hid the $7.5 million settlement. That's another one. So, again, the idea that, oh, you know, he's flaunting this relationship and everybody knows and it's an open... I mean, yes, there were, I'm sure, people that knew that Vince and Janelle had a relationship, but the vast majority did not. And my guess is, with the exception of a select... Actually, as far as, like, what she's accusing him of, I don't know if anybody besides Laurinaitis. I mean, maybe a person or two that we don't know about yet. But, I mean, Dude, this guy went to great lengths to hide all of this. Which, by the way, she made clear in the most recent filing, by the way. So, anyway... That's another one. 2 now that he hid from the company.
Well, they were all hidden from the company, were they not? I mean,
well, we know these 2 for sure. I mean, he's had so many NDAs. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure which ones. I mean, at this point, maybe all of them did.
Well, you had to pay back money on these, right? So we can go back and look and see if that's the case. I think the more pressing thing here is the fact that so much was withheld, and what was in there that was being withheld, and does anybody now need to see that? And why is Jerry McDevitt?
Well, they're gonna.
Let's assume it's Jerry McDevitt.
Actually, I don't think it's Jerry McDevitt.
Okay, so whatever this law firm is, that still needs to be revealed, and I wonder why they are not revealing who the law firm was and who the lawyer was when you're revealing this other stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that comes from this as the Janelle Grant case continues to move on, and if there's going to be any other movement from the Southern District of New York when it comes to Vince, because he very loudly proclaimed that everything was dropped and done when it came to anybody investigating him. But that was when it came to paying this stuff back and paying the SEC fines. It didn't say that he was not going to be charged with anything else down the line. So we'll just have to see. This is just never going to end. It doesn't feel like, and I have a feeling once it's over, it's going to be something that's talked about for decades.
So yes, Haruki Goto won the IWGP Heavyweight title from Zack Sabre Jr.
We need that feel-good story.
I have not seen this match yet. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight. I heard he got super over in his win. People loved it. They were so happy.
You think?
Yeah. I just feel bad for old Chicken Chest after all that. Lost it so quickly.
Quickly? How long did he have the belt for?
He won it like October or November. I mean, it's not been that long. But now Goto is the new champion. Mm-hmm. And it looks like next in line for Goto is Tanahashi and then Yuji Nagata. I mean, that's cool. They'll do well, right? These are old guys challenging for this title, dude.
Go ahead and I know you've been wanting to bury this from the time you thought yesterday when you proclaimed we would have to talk about it
the guy finally
today.
won. Good for him. He won it for his child and his father, right? Yes. I like feel-good stories.
All right.
But at the end of the day, couldn't we get a big-time challenger next? Tanahashi? Okay, it's Tanahashi's final year. Fine, he gets one more shot at the IWGP title. But then we're going to Nagata? Who's next? Naito? That guy. Whew. Holy smokes. We gonna defend that one? I think that guy is washed up.
What are you talking about? What are you doing here? You just want to start off the show by burying Goto's
I didn't
win,
bury Goto.
And you don't even know any. I would assume that they are, Brian. I assume they're telling the story about this is look. They should have gotten over a lot of guys last year, and the fact of the matter is, Zack Sabre Jr. should have been the guy that transitioned the belt to a Umino or somebody who would have been over. Unfortunately, they blew it all last year. So now you get a chance to kind of redo things this year. Umino is going through a restart. Tsuji looks like he's the guy, and once you see the match with Gabe Kidd, if you haven't seen that yet, you'll see again, second match in a row with Gabe Kidd and with Finlay of why this guy is probably going to be the next guy. But this seems like with Tanahashi and with Goto, because look, nobody is there to... Okada's gone. Who else is there to transition generations? This would be a good way to do it, in a better way than Zack Sabre Jr. as far as trying to tell that story. But at the end of it, whether it's next year's Dome show or not, somebody, whether it's Uemura or Tsuji, who it should be, or Umino, or one of these young guys, has got to get over and be your future. You got the 4-1.
That's
you
my
got
point.
That with Gabe Kidd.
We're on the same page here.
I know.
Should
but
be
you
Bolton Oleg.
You had to crap on me to get to your
crap
point.
on you. Did you win the IWGP title? What are you talking about? Why did you take any of this personally?
I'm
what are you talking about?
Personally, he's like, you defend Naito?
You said crap on me.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Dude, I'm asking,
I love it.
Is
I
Naito
love it.
in line?
So
God.
much for the feel-good story here.
You're
Jesus.
right. Come on. Hey, I'm happy the guy won. I like a feel-good story, but then what's next?
I don't know,
Nagata.
Brian. What's next? Is it Naito?
Should be Bolton Oleg.
Okay.
And by the way, it's Bolton Oleg. I don't care what Dave said. It's Bolton Oleg. What are you going to say, Oleg Bolton? Oh, man. Are you really? We're going to do a poll.
People pay for that audio with Dave and Brian.
I'm going to do a poll here on this, what's this thing called? Twitch?
Sure.
Let's see if I can do a poll. We'll find out what these people think. It's Bolton Oleg, everybody. Dave is right. Don't make me get into this again after the break. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Are you heading to Las Vegas for WrestleMania? If so, clear some time on the calendar because we have a lot of great events. It's our annual convention, the WrestlingObserver.com/F4W online convention in Las Vegas this year on WrestleMania weekend. April 18th, Friday, April 19th and 20th. We got special events every day. Friday will be the Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez live Q&A. You can show up. We've got a meet and greet. Perhaps we'll have some merch, and you can ask us any question that you would like at the live Q&A. This will not appear as a podcast, a video podcast, audio podcast. You can only see and hear the Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez Q&A if you attend live. That is April 18th at noon at the beautiful Palms Resort Casino in Las Vegas. We will also have wrestling watch parties. Have you ever wanted to watch wrestling with Dave Meltzer? 2 wrestling watch parties coming up that weekend, as well as 2 after parties. What is an after party? It's exactly what it sounds like. After WrestleMania, both nights, you'll be able to come back to a suite. I'll be there, Dave, a bunch of other friends and subscribers, and you'll get to party. We'll have alcohol, food, and more. These are the after parties after WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. If you want to go, you got to buy your tickets now. Tickets available for everything at f4wonline.com/Vegas. Easy. f4wonline.com/Vegas. Did I mention we're going to have a group dinner at Texas Day Brazil? It's an all-you-can-eat steakhouse, all-you-can-eat steak. I hear some of you right now, I don't eat meat. Doesn't matter. They have the best salad bar you'll ever see. Texas Day Brazil. You can grab your tickets for that meet and greet / dinner as well. Where? f4wonline.com/Vegas. See you there. Well, I got a poll up on Twitch.
Which is rare.
And I also got a poll up on Twitter. A 2 in 1 day. No problem here.
Pal.
Now,
3 of them.
Now.
Good. Yes.
This was a waste of time because I just realized there was a much easier way to do this. And we should have asked Lenny. And in fact, he said it's Oleg Boltin, so now I know that the actual answer is Boltin Oleg. Thank you, Lenny.
Boltin Oleg's the fun way.
Well, so far the polls, I mean, Boltin Oleg is running away with it. I mean, it's 68% on the Twitch. It's actually jumping back and forth on Twitter. Because, you know, there's a lot of dorks on Twitter. What the heck happened to my poll? It suddenly, reset. I hate Twitter!
You took a 90-degree turn?
God, no,
you get checked out for
all
that.
All of the bolts, or the bolts. Whatever, who cares? We all know the answer.
Stupid show.
We know the answer is Boltin Oleg. It
is.
Both that's how you say his name, and also that is who should be the next IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Boltin Oleg. If it's not going to be,
I don't know about that, but I wouldn't turn it down either. He is again a credit to Yuji Nagata too, who's now cranked out him and Rene Abe, who's one of All Japan's young stars. And this is one of those guys who he is older, he is physically limited. He did not grow up watching professional wrestling, and physically limited in he's not going to be a great seller or any of that sort of stuff when it comes to professional wrestling, but he's got just enough of everything. And he, along with Gabe Kidd, along with David Finlay, if he stays, they have a good core of foreigners there. It's just, again, kind of getting their own guys up to that level so they can, and again, watch that Tsuji Gabe Kidd match. It was a little bit extra, but with the story they were trying to tell that ended in a double knockout, it made sense. But Tsuji's really that guy, and they really need to focus on him moving forward.
NXT's got a special coming next month on March 11th at the theater at MSG. It will be NXT Roadblock. NXT Roadblock. 5,000 fans can fit in there. Thankfully, they're not calling it Roadblock End of the Line. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
You don't say. The roadblock's the end of the line. Thank you. I was unaware that that's what a roadblock meant. I thought you could just go through the roadblock. I didn't know it was the end of the line. But anyway, that's coming up March 11th, so we can all look forward to that. It is a busy news day today.
You can tell.
We got SmackDown on Friday, 1.5 million viewers and a .48. So not bad. Went head-to-head with some college basketball and some other stuff. Yep, that's the news, everyone. So we'll see you next time.
Talk to you again after a while.
Well, I could read some of these comments about Oleg Boltin and Boltin Oleg. I mean, this guy goes, who? See, that's the kind of people I have voting on Twitter. That's why it was stupid to put that poll up.
You could talk about the Takeshita match itself with Oleg Boltin and why he is so great right now.
And then we had this person goes, is the first one Chat GPT and the second an NXT name?
What?
Well, you see, I really liked that. I really liked that Takeshita match with Boltin Oleg. Liked it a lot, in fact. I didn't like when I said, "Man, this Oleg Boltin is like a, he's like an Ishii." And Dave goes, "No, he's not." I was like, "Did you watch the match? All he does is power up and look mean, and he's totally another Ishii. What are we doing here?"
He happens to be an Olympic-level wrestler, and that's the difference. But no, the same sort of concept where, he's going to take an inordinate amount of punishment, and that punishment is probably going to come from his own hand. In this case, it was running into the ring post outside. And he injured his shoulder, and that's what Takeshita worked on during the match. And one thing I also liked about this match, and I don't complain about this much because it's gotten, over the top with, bad faith with it, but the slap or the punches back and forth or the forearm battle back and forth, I think it really is overdone and has gotten old in most cases. In this case, when they actually were locking hands and going at each other, and then Boltin lifted him up and kept beating on him, it was a nice twist on that. And it's one of those things where if you don't do it all of the time with everybody, it makes it more impressive when you have two guys who look like this.
So it says here on Wikipedia, remember Dave said look it up on Wikipedia? All right.
Sure.
Oleg Igorovich Boltin is a Kazakh professional wrestler and former freestyle wrestler signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he performs under the name Boltin Oleg. As a freestyle wrestler, he was a gold medalist at the 2021 Asian Wrestling Championships in the 275-pound division. So not an Olympian, but the Asian Wrestling Championships, 2021.
High enough. World championship level wrestler.
Yeah, he'd beat most of you up. So anyway, you know who else could beat Goto is Takeshita. He's a New Japan guy now. By the way, what is up with New Japan in the sense that we had that whole Chris Charlton thing. He's gone for a while. Supposedly back at the New Japan Cup, allegedly. So I'm watching the show last night, and Takeshita came out, and I can't remember what the announcers are talking about how, and this guy was 8. He sent a letter to the office or whatever, and all he ever wanted was to be in New Japan. He doesn't care about any other company, only New Japan. I was like, I thought we were working together. Why is everyone in New Japan always burying AEW? They made a big point about how he only wants to be in New Japan. That was his only goal. I was like, huh. All right. So, anyway, we'll see.
Did they leave out the part of the story where he started with DDT and worked there for years?
Well, I don't think they mentioned that part.
It
was Walker Stewart and Clark Connors. I thought Clark did fine, you know?
He's pretty good.
He didn't do too bad at his job. All right, let's look at some of the feedback here. Then we'll do Raw as we get going here. This person says, Brian, I tuned in late today, but Mike Sempervive won the IWGP title? Apparently.
Fits into the dad theme.
Are Kevin and Sammy wrestling at Mania or at the Chamber? I was wondering because Elimination Chamber is in Canada. I actually don't know. We have a ways to go before the Chamber, and even further to go for WrestleMania. So, I mean, they could be doing the Chamber, but I guess we'll find out. I mean, Sammy's not in the Chamber. As far as I know, Kevin's not in the Chamber, unless things have changed. So, I don't know about both. That's 2 shows in a row. Pick one.
Okay.
Pick one or the other.
Mania.
Okay.
Obviously, duh. I mean,
right.
if you're gonna do one, if you're only gonna do it once, then fine. But I mean, it's not like you couldn't do it. It's not like you couldn't do some sort of finish which leads to something else at Mania where the crowd is going insane. I don't know.
I would be fine with that if they hadn't had 950,000 matches. And it's like, well, let's do a normal match, and we'll do a disputed finish, and then we'll do a stip match at WrestleMania. I've seen that before. You could do it. What, ladder war? Do we have to kill these guys again?
Well, if they're going to wrestle, I mean, how many more twists do you want to put on it? They've done 8,950,000 things. If they up the bar, then I'm scared one of them's going to kill themselves. So don't do that. But, you know.
This person here says,
if you are, make it at WrestleMania.
I went to Raw last night, this fella says, for the first time in years. It was light years better than it used to be. You used to wait an eternity to see something in the ring, and usually stars would stand there for 10 minutes in the dark while a bunch of backstage segments would go on and constant ads would beat you over the head. Last night, I wasn't even sure about when commercials were going on most of the time. Well, they still do a little bit of that weird entrance, commercial, backstage, but not all the time. I had a big argument with somebody about that. They were like, yeah, they do it. Watch the show. And I was like, dude, I went to a Raw, and they didn't do it. So maybe some weeks they do it, and some weeks they don't. Maybe sometimes they do it more than other times. This guy said they didn't do it last night. He was there. Who am I to complain?
They don't seem to do it as often as they did. But, yeah, it happens occasionally where Rollins will come out, and then we'll have, 3 things happen before we're back to it again. So I think they just cut down on it some. And the fact that they've added things, I think, also takes the attention away from it.
This person here says, I'm realizing that Jimmy Uso was the heat and shine guy, and Jay was the hot tag comeback guy. You can see in how they work that Jimmy is good at doing the stuff in the first half of the match, but not great at firing up, and Jay is not doing much in the first half of a match, and then has a crowd going nuts in the final few minutes. Well, that's for sure. We just never used to be able to tell them apart enough to realize which was doing which. Let me think about this now.
I
wonder if this played into how bad their match was at Mania last year.
Together, yeah.
Because that match sucked.
Well, one thing with Jay is, he's also gotten a lot looser. And he's got a real cartoonish, over-the-top comeback, and that's how he works now. And he didn't always work that way. Things were a lot tighter with him. But now, it doesn't matter if he misses by 1,000,000 feet or not. It doesn't, because people are going nuts for everything that he does. And again, that's also just him being more over than Jimmy too.
Person says Jimmy Uso is the Marty Jannetty of the Usos. I don't know if I would say that, because here's the thing. Well, I don't know. Sean became a much bigger star, but he also had way more going for him than Marty Jannetty did. And I think both of the Usos, like Jimmy's a good promo. He's a good worker. He just didn't yeet earlier enough. I think that's what we determine, right? Back in a moment with the Raw Report. We'll talk about something. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Let's do this unnecessary censorship.
Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says I just your ass.
That was terrible. Horrible. They weren't the Heart Foundation. They weren't the British Bulldogs, okay? They're two geeks. And this celebration these guys did.
Oh.
I mean, they're like,
Sean, give me brother. Yeah.
A place like that?
you two dorks. That's what you did. Why are you so excited?
Because they're awesome.
Okay. That was better than the first one.
It picked up at the end there.
Yes.
Unnecessary censorship.
He beat him. And 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 he beat him. I'm sweating.
Time to stop.
And he beat him.
Was this edited?
And then he beat him. And he beat him. So. I actually wore that shirt. It just says he beat him, he beat him, he beat him all the way down. Like,
All the way down, you say?
I dropped her off at camp, and the camp counselor just looks at me and she goes, he beat him and beat him. I was like, gag gift.
Brian, would you for me again this week? It's too hot to do much.
That's true. It is too hot to do much.
I guess I just better do it because it came up for me.
I'll wait.
It won't come up again. It's pretty short, so I'll just do it. Yeah. Now I gotta find it back.
Okay.
It isn't
Dale, I'm
coming
gonna
up.
kill you. How about you just it? Okay.
Ouch.
What else have we got, Vinny? I hope the granny licks her finger to turn the page. Lick that finger. There'll be
Page
an
2.
unnecessary censorship coming up. Lick that. Okay, let's see. Unnecessary censorship.
So Oro Ethan after the match and gets his ass just into the earth.
Vinny.
And Ethan is leaving, holding his all confident. And then Oro just comes back to life, and now he Ethan's ass.
Oro jumps him from behind.
Yep.
Then he his ass after cheap shotting the guy. Haha. That was interesting. That's quite unnecessary. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. As I should have known, the wildly intelligent people on Twitch successfully, in the poll, voted Bolton Oleg as the correct answer. Whereas on Twitter, everyone's all, they don't know what's going on. And the one I've heard, and even Dave tried this one, Ben here says, it's Oleg Bolton, since we call all wrestlers from Japan first name, last name, even though that isn't how they do it in Japan. That's what Dave said, okay? Well, you know, they say the name backwards. Tanahashi. Okay, listen. I have the lineup for the show yesterday from New Japan World. Okay? I have it right here. You looking at this? It says 6th, never open weight championship match. Bolton Oleg versus Konosuke Takeshita. It does not say Bolton Oleg versus Takeshita Konosuke. It doesn't. Do you see this? Of course it won't focus. But I'm telling you that's what it says. Never open weight championship match. Bolton Oleg versus Konosuke Takeshita. So no, that's not how they do it in Japan, brother.
Where do you come down on
What was that, Jared? He put something on the screen. Hold on. He said something here. YouTube poll is at 51% for Bolton Oleg. Oh, the YouTube poll. I didn't realize they were that intelligent. Excellent. Now, what were you saying?
I don't remember.
It was something about Takeshita and the way they listed the matches.
No, where do you come down on maternal family names for Latin wrestlers? You think that should be added since they traditionally do that in Mexico anyway? You should have the whole name, the full name, as you would find it. Look up Andrade's name. It's a long name when you actually break it all out.
But that's a different story for a different day. But I'm glad that most of us are on the right side of history here.
Because there's a lot to talk about today.
There is. And also, his name is Kazuchika Okada.
Kazuchika Okada?
No. What happens is white Americans say that because they think that they're like doing it right. But then when Okada does his own interviews, every time,
there's a half a Mexican spin here from
he calls him Kazuchika Okada. I am Kazuchika Okada, he says, every time.
Yes,
every time.
He's never been a gimmick at all, or played things up to the press with his English or anything like that, has he?
Every time. Now, let's talk about Raw. All right.
It was 2.5 hours.
Brandon here says this is why WWE started dropping last names. What, because people couldn't figure out what order they went in? So Raw opened with Jey Uso coming out again. And he's yeeting. And he gets attacked by Gunther, who kills his dude. But then Jey fights back, hits him with a dive. There's a wild schmaz, as we say in the biz. And then Jey grabs the mic and says, maybe I shouldn't say this, but you and me at WrestleMania. So we have a match. An official match for WrestleMania. Now, granted, WrestleMania is 2 months away. So we'll see what happens. There is a circuitous route plan for Mania. I don't know who it involves, but there is one this year. And so we'll see.
Well, and there's a really good shot that even if there's no crazy route that they take to get to that match, it's not going to be the main event, and it is not the biggest title match on the show. That is going to be Cody and whatever happens on that side of things. So by doing this and getting it out of the way, any drama out of the way, to me, that's a good thing.
Remember when Stephanie Vaquer got called up and they were like, it's Stephanie Vaquer. That's how she pronounces it, Vaquer. They got mad at us because that's how she pronounced it. Well, with Okada, he pronounces it a certain way, but you got to it's heat if you say it the wrong way. Rhea did a promo. Io walked up. She wants her match. And Rhea later said, I don't have to do this, but I want to. You get a championship match the night after Elimination Chamber. So that'll be the match. We got Liv Morgan and Raquel versus Io and Dakota. This was Dakota's return from concussion. And she immediately busted up Liv. Actually, it was later in the match.
Wait a second. She didn't bust up Liv.
It was an accident. This was a classic example of a total accident. And what happened was Raquel went to basically airplane spin Dakota and everybody. And like Dakota put her arms up, who was being spun? Liv? Or no, it was who got spun?
Raquel was spinning Liv.
Raquel was spinning Liv, and Dakota put her hands up to block, but her elbow rammed into Liv's face, and Liv got, she got a big freaking cut right there, bleeding everywhere, and she ended up getting pinned by Io.
Hard way, brother.
It was hard way, dude.
Duggan got 108 stitches in his eye, worked that night.
Then we had Lyra and Bayley in a chamber qualifier, and this was a babyface match. They worked as a babyface match, meaning there was no heat. There really wasn't a comeback. It was just your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And in the beginning, the people were into it because they liked both of them dueling chants. But, you could only do your turn, my turn for so long before people get bored. And they were bored at the end. And then Bayley pinned her. Okay? So for those of you keeping track of the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Lyra won it the second week of January. She was not seen again until the Royal Rumble, where she was eliminated. And she had her first singles match since winning the Intercontinental title a month later, where she was pinned.
It's a bad thing when you got titles and not feuds and people.
Is she commander?
Well, no, because she's not getting beat and looking like a bum. when she's on a big stage, they gave her the belt. But this is why you have screwy finishes, is because somebody that's feuding with Lyra can come out and cause some havoc in this babyface versus babyface match. And you have a reason that this new champion who has not defended her belt lost to Bayley. So that's why, again, that was the mistake there to me in having a match like that.
Commander Valkyria. Ludwig did a promo. They're doing something with him and Pete Dunne. Ivy walked up and challenged Lyra, said this should be easy. She's right. AJ Styles came out for a promo. He's gigantic. And he's interrupted by Dom and Carlito. And they go back and forth. Incredible heat for Dom. And next week, it is AJ Styles versus Dom. They had a brawl afterwards.
And you know what? AJ Styles and Finn Balor as a team, I don't know if they'll go in that direction after Finn gets away from Dom, but those two guys together could help bolster that division and could be imagine them against the Motor City Machine Guns. I'd like to see it.
By the way, they did a segment later where we had a stare down between AJ and Braun Breaker. I had not thought of that match for WrestleMania, but that sounds awesome.
Not bad.
We had a Seth interview where Finn Balor showed up. They're facing off against each other next week in a Chamber qualifier. And this Finn, I don't know where they're going with Finn. He's just an epic failure, up and down. Wonder if Judgment Day will turn on him and he'll go babyface.
He's got to. To me, that makes a lot of sense to do because, again, Dominic doesn't... him being associated with Liv and Raquel and having JD and Carlito, that to me is great. That's perfect for him, but Finn Balor doesn't need to be in that group, and if he's going to stay relevant, to me, you got to give him a fresh coat of paint, and sticking him and AJ together to me makes sense.
We had the War Raiders versus Alpha Academy for the tag team titles. Good match. This is awesome chance. Hideous finish. The War Raiders went for the War Machine, and Julius hit them with they didn't even hit the move, and then he broke it up. He hit them as they were going for the move, and he got himself DQ'd in a match where he was fighting for the tag titles.
Yeah.
That would be fine if they were the champions, but they were in line. They could have won the titles, but they got themselves DQ'd. Idiots!
That's what happens when Chad Gable's not there.
By the way, the story with Chad Gable, he is not going to AAA, but
he's tending to that leg everybody fell on.
No. How can I say this? He's not... I'll put it this way.
Is he having problems with his poll too, Brian?
I'll put it this way. He's not going to AAA, but there is a reason that story came out.
Oh my God, he's going to IWRG.
And I shouldn't say they do. Maybe they do. They did.
Trauma.
They did have a plan involving a luchador mentoring Chad Gable.
Negro Navarro.
It could have been. But the fact is, it may or may not still be happening. I hope it is.
I know. I want it to be, but I got to be honest. That Dark Arts thing sets it up for Malachi. And to be honest with you, Malachi and Penta as a feud, on paper, if everybody's motivated and everything, actually doesn't sound too bad.
Then we had Dakota and Io in the Rhea segment there. We had CM Punk coming out for a promo. And this guy... he did a promo talking about winning the chamber, and he's just talking about how he's going to run through everybody in the chamber. And then his final line is, and I quote, "I've never been more confident in my entire life." And I was like, oh man, I don't think you're winning that chamber, brother. I wonder what the story is going to be. Him and Seth and Roman. Is he going to lose, and then he has to find another way to get into that main event somehow?
Why don't you just stick Drew in there, too, so all four of them can kill each other in some sort of gimmick match where literally one of them has got to survive all of the other ones? There should actually be a social media component with Drew McIntyre. I would favor him in that part of the deal.
So then out comes Logan Paul, and they bring up that Logan eliminated Punk So my guess is, Punk is just going to, pin Logan Paul in the chamber. But,
Hey, can I get Logan and Braun Breaker before Logan disappears again?
hey, we'll get it at some point, I'm sure. Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio in a chamber qualifier. They had a very good match. After it was a little rough going in the beginning because this was not one of those, hey, Logan and Rey are going to go to, the Performance Center and practice a match for 6 weeks and then no, this was clearly they came up with this match in the back and Rey is furiously screaming spots. But you know what? It was still good. And at the end, Logan hit a new move, which is a back suplex into a DDT, and he pinned him. The reaction from the crowd when he pinned Rey Mysterio made all of this worth it. They screamed in horror. Like, you could hear women high-pitched screams of horror when Logan Paul pinned this guy. So he is in the chamber. And then they did an angle, a cliffhanger. Rey was jumped by the New Day, and they went off the air. Even though they don't need to. This was on purpose because they want you to tune in or go to social media or whatever. So Rey gets jumped. Penta ran down to make the save. He briefly makes a save, but then he gets beaten down as well. And then the New Day smashed Rey's leg into the ring post with a steel chair. So I thought it was a good show. It's got its strengths and weaknesses, as all shows, but it's paced so much better than SmackDown.
Yes.
God, this 3-hour SmackDown is brutal.
I can't wait till Dominic takes Rey's mask, and then you can finally do a mask versus hair match that'll matter with some heat. Do Penta, do Dragon Lee, but I'd like to see Penta and Dominic one day. If you do that scenario, because Rey ain't going to last forever, and who should take his mask? At least this incarnation of it, it should be Dominic, and then build up to that hair match, because Dominic's as Eddie as you can get right now for this generation.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Have you grabbed your F4WOnline.com shirt yet? Well, we got a bunch of them. They're up in the store right now. F4WOnline.com/shirts. You can grab your -5 stars shirt, your Dave Meltzer Wrestling Observer shirts, even the brand new After Dark Radio shirt. You love Granny? We have Granny's Gang shirts. Have you ever won a shoot battle royal? Probably not, but you can tell people you did. So check out the store, all of these great shirts and more. It's through Pro Wrestling Tees, F4WOnline.com/shirts. That's F4WOnline.com/shirts.
this cake today.
He's mad that
this
Penta
show.
was on main event. How come nobody complains about that, but they complain about Tony debuting on... Well, she made her return in the ring on Rampage. She made her return in the ring. Penta did not debut on main event. He debuted on Raw in a push segment. Nobody ever said Tony couldn't wrestle on Rampage. Nobody ever said any top star couldn't wrestle on Rampage. But to be gone for 4 months and your giant big return after all that time in the ring is on Rampage? Yeah. That's
Against
different.
Saturday night's main event.
That's different, you see. Do you see how that's different? Does everyone else see how that's different?
I see how that's different, especially because
Yes, because it is different.
Look who they put Penta in there with, and he's going to a match with now Pete Dunne, it looks like, but it's going to take him a little time to get used to some things about WWE, and how they do things, and some of his opponents who he's never worked with before. So a little extra time on main event is not a bad thing. If he remains there for 8 months and you never see him again on either Raw or SmackDown, then maybe there's a case to be made. I don't think it's now.
Yes, he's working with Rey Mysterio versus The New Day. On Raw, on the main roster. It was the main angle to end the show. I think Penta's doing all right.
You know who wrestled on main event there, or whatever it's called? R-Truth and Ludwig Kaiser. And you know why? Is because they don't have...
Ludwig. Oh, God.
Yeah, no. It's almost as if, because they don't have a main thing going on right now, they just want to get them some work while all this other stuff is taking place. It doesn't really offer a referendum on their futures or not.
Hey, we're going to wrap it up, but tonight on the Bryan Vinny Show, it is Mid-South Wrestling. The best show I watch
Which
every
is
week.
never mid.
No.
Ever.
It's Max South Wrestling. We're going to wrap it up. Back tomorrow with more, as well as After Dark Radio tomorrow. Talking missing people. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.